Hello and welcome back to Defense Grid, the board game rules videos. So for this video, we're going to be covering what happens to cores if aliens die and they drop them on the field. So the first thing to realize is that if you have any questions, you can ask them in the comments below on Reddit, Kickstarter, Board Game Geek, wherever. But other than that, aliens, as they're running away, we've designed these to have kind of this little arrow formation to help you know which way they're pointing and whether they're going towards the core housing or away. So for example, in this case, the Juggernaut is trying to run away with the cores, whereas in this case, the Swarmer here is still trying to run and grab some cores. So he's still coming in. So when you kill an alien, like let's say you manage to wipe out all three of these aliens that are currently holding cores in the player phase, those cores would all drop immediately onto the field where the alien had died. Now, once all the players' turns have resolved, you will move on from the player action phase to the return core phase. During the return core phase, all of the cores will try to move 3 spaces back towards the core housing. Now, for the purposes of the core housing, we have the space here marked that says acquire and return cores here. That is how they actually get back onto the core housing. So you start with the cores that are closest to the core housing, in this case the 3 cores that fell off the Juggernaut. You take all 3 of these cores and you move them 3 spaces, so 1, 2, 3. Since they end up on the acquire and return cores spot, they immediately load right on to the core housing, and they are fully returned and now safe and good for you to earn medal points with at the end of the game. This core, it'll go back 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3, but as you can see, it doesn't quite make it back to the core housing, so it's still kind of hanging out there for at least another round. Now, the really complicated part is what happens if there's aliens in between the core and getting back to the core housing. So let's take this core here. It would go 1, 2, 3. So it ends up on a hex with aliens. In this case, we have 2 aliens here. We have a walker and a swarmer. Now, in the rule book, we have some explicit rules here that tell you how to determine which alien picks up the cores. So in this case, we hit rule number 1, alien with the highest base move value. So you've got a walker that has a movement of 5 as written on its token, and you have a swarmer with a movement of 7. So in this case, you would load the core onto the swarmer and immediately turn the swarmer's arrow to face towards the exit. So now when the swarmer next moves, it will be running out with the core. Likewise, let's say you had the next step on the rule is if they both have the same base movement value, whoever has the most armor, that would get the core. Then after most armor is most current hit points. So let's say, for example, you had 2 bulwarks sitting on a square. They would have the same movement and the same armor, but they might not have the same hit points, in which case whichever has the most hit points acquires the core, turns around, and starts moving towards the exit. Finally, if all 3 of those are equal, the players get to choose which of the aliens they want to put the core on. Thank you very much, and hope that helps, and hope you're enjoying the game.